It's the Happy Families Podcast. It's the podcast for the time-poor parent who just wants answers now.
School holidays are slowly but surely ebbing to a close, at least if you're in Queensland. We've got just a few more days and the kids are back at school. One more week for New South Wales and I think Victoria as well. I'll have to double check my calendars. But look, let's get into today's podcast. This is Dr. Justin Coulson. I'm so excited to be able to share with you a conversation that I had way back in episode number 119. Of the podcast. It was with a guy by the name of Ant Williams. He's a good friend of mine and a sports psychologist. He's also a free diver, one of those people who hold their breath for a really long time while they submerge themselves in the deepest water possible. Ant has set world records for diving under ice in freezing cold water. A couple of years ago, he set the world record for the deepest free dive under ice. I mean, we're talking about going down 70 meters. Think about it. You've got to go 70 meters down and then you've got to get 70 meters back up. That's 140 meters, almost 3 laps of an Olympic-sized swimming pool in water that has ice 1 meter thick on top of it on one single breath with no breathing apparatus, just a deep breath, your lungs, down you go, and then swimming back up to the surface. Well, Ant and I had a great conversation in episode number 119 of the podcast about his accomplishments in free diving. It's a fascinating chat. Go back and have a listen to it. But here's just a snippet when I asked him how that free diving has taught him life lessons that have helped him to be a better parent. And we talked about the strategy of letting go.
Well, for me, it's about realizing that I'm part of the issue. And that's hard, I think, to accept on a number of occasions when we see our kids being unruly. Is you think, this is my kid being unruly and it's them, they've got to fix this and I'm going to tell them how to fix this and they should listen to me because I'm the adult and I know best. Whereas in fact, we still want the same outcome. We want to get our kids through something that's a significant challenge. The insight for me from the freediving has been, I still want the right outcome, which is to go deeper. I want to feel that experience of being successful with that, but I have to be more humble. I actually have to acknowledge that what I'm doing is not working in this situation, and I have to be open to different paths to change it up. And when I figured that out in freediving, it was monumental for me. I think it took me years before I then learnt how to take that insight and apply it to how I was parenting. And I still don't get it right all the time. There's no way. But I catch myself more often now going, what outcome am I really after here? What's the best outcome for my son or my daughter? And what else can I try? If I put my ego to one side and explore different paths, then what does my child really need from me today or right in this moment? And I'm just trying to be open to explore different ways of being for my children.
So let's talk about this in a really concrete way. Let's say I've got a child and I don't feel like they're living up to their potential. And by the way, I've got a massive problem with that statement. I want my children to live up to their potential. What does that even mean? Like, who actually does live up to their potential? Anyway, I digress. But a lot of parents will say, I really want my children to live up to their potential, whether it's academically or whether it's in the sporting arena or whether it's musically or in their art and drama pursuits, whatever it might be. I want my child to live up to my potential. And so we've got this, let's say there's a whole lot of pressure around this because the child is not living up to their potential. They're not doing the stuff that they said that they would do. How do you let go of that based on, you've given some really nice ideas in an abstract kind of way, in that general sense of we need to let go. But when you're in the heat of the moment and you're thinking, I've spoken to this 8-year-old or this 18-year-old 15 times about this. We keep on having the same conversation and they're just not putting in the work. They're not going to soccer practice or they're not studying for their exams or they're not doing their music lessons properly so they're going to pass the music test. How do you let go? Should you let go? I think you and I both agree that the answer to that is probably yes. But if so, how do you let go in a way that actually works?
Yeah, look, and I'm going to be honest, I struggle as much with this as any parent. So I guess all I can offer here is that I want them. I want to just be there to agitate what's happening with your internal dialogue. Now, I know that that's another concept, right? And I'll try to get more concrete for you because you've rightly asked me to be more concrete with this stuff. And so what I mean by that is I want to challenge them to play through the scenario, to just walk through. Okay, so you don't want to do your homework and you don't want to participate in I don't know, Taekwondo anymore because you feel bored and you want to play with mates or build TikToks. And I go, cool. So where does this, what do you love the most about this? And where does this take you? And what things were you learning from Taekwondo that you kind of miss right now? And I literally just play it out in the conversation with them, just to kind of go, where does this lead us to? And sometimes they go, no, I'm really happy just being me, enjoying building my TikToks right now in the moment. And you got to suck it up, Dad. That's just how it's going to be. And I go, right, my child's not ready for this other conversation yet, but it doesn't mean that they won't be in a week's time. And so I'll try to have it again with them in a week's time. And you just got to stay really open, because if you go in and go, listen, I'm going to tell you what happens if you follow down this path for any longer, building your TikToks and not doing your homework, and
you're going to be a failure. Your life's over. We might as well just give up now.
You're not living up to your potential here. Yeah. You're not going to get the outcome you want.
You can hear more of that conversation with Ant Williams in episode number 119 of the Happy Families podcast. The unhealthy, unhelpful boy code that is rampant in our children's school and social environments encourages some persistent and dangerous ideas about what it means to be male. But the Building Better Boys webinar is here to help unpack these cultural ideas and help guide our boys to be brilliant, beautiful, and even better. Building Better Boys is available today online at happyfamilies.com.au. It's the Happy Families podcast, the podcast for the time-poor parent who just wants answers. Now, thanks so much for listening to this holiday edition of the podcast. On Monday, one more holiday interview snippet with one of my all-time favourite authors and one of the most influential people in my life, the author of Punished by Rewards, Alfie Kohn, when we talk about dealing with children who are acting up and behaving in ways that we might call challenging. That's on Monday in the Happy Families podcast. Until then, have a wonderful weekend. The podcast, as always, is produced by Justin Rulon from Bridge Media. Craig Bruce is our executive producer. And if you'd like more info about making your family happier, you'll find it at happyfamilies.com.au.